Okay, we're with Heat 2 winner Craig Lowndes. Boy, they call that a slingshot, I think. That start was unbelievable.
Thanks, Mark. It was something I've been trying to practice. Obviously, 96, we had 3 good starts here. We didn't have our best qualifying, so we've had to make up with the starts. And obviously, race 2 was going to be a difficult one. We're starting in the second row still, but luckily enough, the 2 front guys, Glenn and Mark, I guess kept me enough room to go straight to the middle.
Ingle was giving you a hot time in those early laps.
Well, obviously Russell got a tremendous start as well. So yeah, it's been all weekend that hopefully the Bridgestones would last on a bit longer. But you know, Russell virtually hung in there the whole race. So the Dunlops are hanging in there, which obviously means for a good race.
And HRT's had a 1-2 here 2 years in a row. Maybe you can make it the hat-trick this afternoon.
Well, I'd love to. We've got the 3rd race to come, but if Mark and I can get off to a good start, obviously, hopefully we can end up with a 1-2. We had a 2-3 in the first race, so a 1-2 in the end wouldn't go astray.
Keep our fingers crossed. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much.
Cars are out on the circuit, and there's the man of the moment, Craig Lowndes. He cleaned up 3 wins from 3 starts back in 1996 when he went on to win the championship. And he said there, if we can get a good start, well, once again, let's have a look at that start. Guys, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was so close. In actual fact, if you look down the side of Seaton's car, there you'll see there's a big black mark down the side where Craig's car just brushed down the side of it. But it was a good start. It was quite amazing that both the front 2 got a bad start and the second row made good starts.
Time to take a look at the Shell Helix grid. This is how they line up for the 3rd and final. The HRT front row, Lowndes and Scape. England Bargwanna, they start from 2.
Out of the second, Jason Bright and Larry Perkins off the 3rd row. That is John Bow, who fought his way back from last position. Incredible fight back that to 7th, and Paul Romano in 8th.
We go back to the 9th position. Steve Richards, a good recovery from 17th. And Dick Johnson in 10. 11 is Larkham, and 12 is Crick, the top privateer.
Out of 13, Terry Finnegan and Peter Dulman in the M3 Motorsport Commodore. Out of 14, 15, Darren Hossack in the Wins Commodore. Ryan McLeod in that battling OAMS Falcon.
Castrol Cougars entry, Kieran Brewer in 17. Mal Rose out of 18. Darren Pate and Steve Reed, 19 and 20.
Back in 21, Darcy Russell in the Commodore. Tony Longhurst having a tough day back there in 22. John Faulkner, I believe, had an engine change in the brake. Glenn Seaton certainly changed engines after overheating that one. He's right back in 24.
Paul Wheel out of 25 suffered a flat tyre in the last race. Ray Hislop ahead of Steve Ellery in the Conacher. Holden Young Lions entry will start rear of grid. All 27 are on the grid for this 3rd and final one. It's going to be a ripper. Will HRT get a clean sweep? Will they get a 1-2 finish for the 3rd year in a row? There they are, side by side. Mark Scape in the foreground, Lowndes alongside. Will we see another rocket of a start from Lowndes? Back to England, Richard Bargwanna on the next row. Red, green, we go, and Lowndes goes. Look at that, like a rocket. So good as Ingle. Russell Ingle, the 2 guys that started like a rocket in the previous one, have done it again.
Well, those 2 guys must be joined by a rubber band or something. They're both making phenomenal starts. Scape was really pumped up, making a good one in that 3rd one. He didn't quite get off the line, just as good as those other 2. Now he finds himself back in 3rd, once again with Ingle and Lowndes up ahead.
Here they come into the hairpin, hard on the brakes. Lowndes already got a couple of car lengths over Russell Ingle. It's tight. Bargwanna's up there. So too is Larry Perkins. We go back to Romano, Johnson and Bow, Bright, then Richards. Then we pick up, it looks like Peter Dulman. No, it's Greg Crick, top privateer.
Well, he certainly got those starts sorted out, Craig Lowndes. You might have seen in that start in Heat 2. People wonder how you can just leap off the line like that. If you don't get the revs matched right to the clutch, the engine can bog down. You've got to declutch and start again. And in that split second, the guy behind you's done better. He's going to rocket right past. That's exactly what happened in 2. And you can see there, Ingle and Lowndes repeated the treat in Heat 3.
Jason Bargwanna sitting back there in 4th position. I was talking to Gary Rogers, obviously team owner, team manager. He said we couldn't have been happier with Jason in that last one. 22 perfect laps. He didn't make a mistake. And watch him in the 3rd race, he said.
So a flyer, 59.80 standing start from Craig Lowndes that first time around. So those times tumble down. Looking back at Mark Scape with Jason Bargwanna breathing right down his neck. Larry Perkins moving up the order all the time. Then it's Johnson, Romano, Bow in 8th position. Jason Bright in 9th. Stephen Richards rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, this is so perfect for Lowndes. He's pulled out, he must have, fraction over a second. And it's playing right into his hands because that later on in the previous race it was difficult for Russell Ingle to keep up the pace towards the end of it because of the tyres, I would think. This is going perfect for him.
Still that on the left bottom of screen, that's a radar indicator of their top speed on the back straight. analogue indication at the bottom shows the actual speed. That little window up the top will peg it, and Telltale at the top speed. You can see there tremendous speed from Russell Ingall first time through. We'll keep an eye on that. Jason Bargwanna, meanwhile, continues to hunt Mark Skaife. There's a bunch of three here. Craig Lowndes always phenomenally quick on cold tyres. He's done it again. He's gapped them the first time around 1.5 seconds. And that's what he did in 1996. Just get out in front, hold that cushion.
Bargwanna staying touch. Meanwhile, Glenn Seaton has worked his way from 25th up to 14th position, so he's charging hard. He could replicate what John Bowe did in the second from 27th to 7th. We'll wait and see.
You should have seen I was inside Seaton's garage when they were working and changing the motor, because they had a radiator hole in the radiator and they weren't sure, they didn't want to cook here. And the guys changed the motor. You should see them at work. I mean, that is really hard going. Also, John Faulkner's like, what's Russell with a thrust and go there.
And just look at the pace of Lowndes. That one lap, he's opened it up again. 2.5 seconds. He's put a second on his pursuers once again. A 54.92.
Oh, Skaife has got to sort his starts out, hasn't he? Because this is ultimate frustration for him.
This is interesting here. Ingall, then we go to Skaife. There's the Jason Bargwanna profile. The 25-year-old from Melbourne. First race in 1989, and that would have been in a Formula Ford. He went to Formula Holden's last year. Very well finished runner-up to Jason Bryant. Here we go. The action's on. Bargwanna felt as though he could have got past Skaife in the last one, and he's pulled out of the draft this time. Skaife will have the run into the left-hander, but Bargwanna's all over the back of Mark Skaife.
Oh, he's really going to feel the pressure if we go from the back of car 50, Global Holden Racing Team Commodore of Mark Skaife. And there's plenty of pressure coming from the rookie here, Jason Bargwanna of the Valvoline Cummins Commodore.
I think Jason's really going to have a go this time, because he felt last time that had he have really put the pressure on and got past, he could have got clear, but he looks like he's made up his mind to have a good go now.
Well, Lowndes has just done it again. He's pumped it out to a 3-second lead. That lap, half a second faster than his closest pursuer, Russell Ingall. It's just Craig Lowndes, vintage Craig Lowndes from 1996, piling on the pressure, build up that gap and hold it to the end.
Some great pictures from the rear of Mark Skaife's Mobile HRT Commodore. This is Bargwanna, front and centre, really pushing the Gary Rogers Valvoline Cummins Commodore hard. Through they go. There's your Shell Helix race score. Lowndes, almost 3 seconds to Ingall, Skaife, Bargwanna, Perkins. Romano is still in the top 10. Stephen Richards sitting there in 8th, Bright in 7th. This is interesting, this trio. There's another trio, and more. Stephen Richards coming up onto the back of this group.
Dick Johnson's missing his front grille there. Little body contact in those opening laps. Virtually impossible to avoid on the Symmons Plains layout. 2.41 kilometres, very, very narrow and very, very difficult to pass. As Jason Bargwanna is finding here as he tries to find a gap around Mark Skaife, but he's a very, very experienced campaigner, Mark Skaife.
It just looks like Skaife's thing's got the top end horsepower on Bargwanna's thing. You watch out of the hairpin, Skaife doesn't pull away at all, and just until they get sort of up for fifth and sixth gear, then you see Skaife's thing start to pull away. Now it starts to go.
Bargwanna always quick out of the draft there, and he's looking for the inside run down the Pepsi back straight through the sweeper, but Mark Skaife was a little quicker out of the hairpin that time round. Bargwanna up on brakes, look at that. Here he comes on Mark Skaife. Very good down the back section.
Don't forget, Skaife won't be the easiest bloke to get past at any stage of the game. You know, he's very experienced, Mark Skaife, and
I keep in mind, Glenn Seaton, who started off the back with that engine change, he's up to 12th position already. Oh, do you want to get any closer? Goodness me, Jason Bargwanna, no shortage of squirt in a straight line from the Valvoline Cummins Chevy. Built by Mike Exel and the boys at Gary Rogers Motorsport. They're taking on the factory Holdens, and they're matching them corner for corner.
You see, you watch Bargwanna now, go try and get a tight run out of it, but now you see on acceleration there's nothing in it. Just when it gets up
the thing that we've got to remember too is that this guy has had a pretty quick rise, and he's got a lot of exposure. People think that he's been around a long time. He hasn't done much time in V8s at all. I mean, he went pretty much to Sandown and Bathurst last year without much in a V8. Battle here, Bright, Perkins duking it out.
I was going to say, Bright's on a real charge. He just passed Johnson. That time he snuck past Perkins, so he's really flying in the Pertec Falcon. getting a big move on. A 55.66 last time around. That's virtually matching the times of Craig Lowndes. He's really flying in the blue Ford. That moves him up to 5th position.
Well, we saw him set a lap record, a new lap record at Sandown last week, surpassing Craig Lowndes' existing lap record. So he's quick, and so too is this Pertec Falcon prepared by the Stone brothers. Jason, originally from Adelaide, he's moved to the Gold Coast now, lives at Mermaid Beach, and is very, very serious about his racing. Former Formula Ford Australian champ and Formula Holden champ now in the V8 Supercar category and doing it well.
Stone brothers are pretty serious about their motor racing too. Campbell Little builds these Ford engines. Has been general chat around the pits is that the Pertec Ford is probably hauling the most mail in a straight line as far as the Fords are concerned. So they're getting plenty of speed out of that car.
Back to Mark Scaife, the 50. Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodore. Just watching that next group come through. There's the second of the Valvoline cars. Here's Glenn Seaton now. He's managed to work his way past John Bowe. Seaton is sitting in 9th position. So from 25th to 9th, the current Shell Australian Touring Car champ, Seaton is on a charge.
That'll be good for him too. He pulled that, I think, mid-distance in Heat 2, so a little bit more life left in his tyres than those competitors around him. And he's taking full advantage too. If this car can get through without any sort of mechanical failures, that'll be tremendous. But looking at that shot, it looks like there's smoke billowing out of the back of the Ford Credit Falcon. We'll keep an eye on that, but it really was a rushed engine change. They turned that around very, very fast.
Well, there'd be some kind of miracle if the guys, you know, didn't leave something undone. I mean, it's if they have, you couldn't blame them. You should see the amount of work that was done in such a short time.
Meanwhile, sorry, Baz, meanwhile at the front, Craig Lowndes is absolutely split open this lead. It's out to 5 seconds now over Russell Engel in second. Mark Scaife still holding in third, right up behind the Castrol Commodore. But a great battle further back at the pack. Look at this.
Lowndes is streaking away. This is the battle, second, third and fourth. Engel. There's the view from the back of Mark Scaife's car while we watch his feet hard at work.
Now you see what I don't understand is you see just pumping the brake there to make sure it's got some brakes, heel and toe changing down, but with that thing flat out, it just changes gear. Listen, with it flat on the floorboards.
Yeah, he's flat changing. You can see that right foot isn't moving. He's holding that throttle flat to the boards.
But what I don't understand is why doesn't the engine go up against the rev limiter when he gets the clutch?
Well, you can see he's just on maximum attack. Little pump of the pedal, make sure he's got a full, strong pedal there before he dives on to pull the car up from about 240 k's back to 90. He's right up behind Russell Engel, trying to find a way through. This is the battle for second position. And that's a great view of the fancy footwork going on in 5-0.
Wow. Mark has got his hands full, hasn't he? Engel smokes it up, and Barguana is sitting in there waiting for any opportunity that he could possibly get through on Mark Scaife. So Scaife is the sandwich there. Bright is catching him, no doubt about that. He's coming up to tag onto the back.
Jason Bright at 55.85, Lowndes at 55.7. Jason Bright now one of the quickest cars on the circuit. You can see he's closing the gap to these three who are probably slowing each other down a little bit. But Lowndes now out to 6.2 seconds, the lead over this battle.
The great thing is the young guys have come into it this year and they're going really so good. You know, it's Brighty and Barguana right up there, and also Romano.
Well, when you looked at the top 10 this morning, before they started, top 10 from qualifying yesterday, 50% of that top 10 were 25 years or younger. So it really is good to see the young guys coming on through, and they're proving themselves. They're getting a lot of credibility very quickly. You see Russell throws the car right to the outside to get through a very tricky section of the circuit. A little bit of a bump there, then they've got to throw it hard left. We have this split shot again. We watch Mark Scaife working. Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodore hard. He's trying desperately to catch Engel, at the same time fighting off Barguana.
I think where Mark will get the advantage is the Bridgestone is a better tyre. You know, when it gets around the 18, 19 laps of the race, you'll find the Bridgestone will be working better than the Dunlop, and that's where, oh, look at Barguana, that's where Mark will end up with the advantage. Yeah,
Barguana just can't hold him at the top speed.
It's getting close here at Symmons Plains. It's going to get very interesting after the break. Stay with us on your home of Motorsport Network 10. We'll be back right after this. welcome back. Well, this 3-car battle has turned suddenly into a 4-car battle. There you go. There's a sneak peek at Jason Bright coming up on the back of Jason Bargwanna. Bargwanna tries desperately once again through the sweep, but he gets through on skate, but he just can't do it.
Yeah, he's hanging in there, and he comes out of the corner, but boy, at the top end, a little bit too much squirt from the Holden Racing Team car. It's a real drag race when you're getting up over 200 kilometres an hour, and he just can't get enough to get in front of that car. Tremendous battle. Russell Ingall, Mark Scaife, Jason Bargwanna and Jason Bright.
I think you'll find that Jason Bargwanna's got a bigger incentive now because he's got Jason Bright, one of his old sparring partners, up behind him. So the last thing, both the Jasons want to finish in front of each other. So I think you'll find that if Jason Bargwanna's going to have a go, it's going to be pretty soon.
Well, last year at Malala in South Australia, when Bright and Bargwanna were fighting it out for the Australian Formula Holden Championship, they came together and went off the side of the track. Wondering if they were thinking then that they'd be mixing it with the best touring car drivers in this country less than 12 months later. That's exactly what they're doing. Here comes Bargwanna. Tries it again, but he just can't get Scaife in that part of the track.
Yeah, he's going to lap 14 of 22. He's still got plenty of time to make a move here. These cars are so equally matched. We go back on board with Mark Scaife's car. I wonder if Scaife's aware that Valvoline Cummins car that's giving him so much grief was in fact an ex-Holden Racing Team car. They certainly build them good down on Holden Racing Team, and Jason Bargwanna using it to maximum advantage right up behind Mark Scaife's car. We've got Jason Bright bearing down on this pack. Craig Lowndes, meanwhile, continues to build that lead. It's up to 7.8 seconds over Russell Ingall and the Castrol Commodores. They break hard for the hairpin once again.
Well, if positions remain as is, it will most certainly be an HRT 1-2. It will be Lowndes, Scaife, and Russell Ingall is sitting pretty for a third spot on the overall points of the day, I'm talking. This is the view from the back of Russell's car. We watch that battle continue between Scaife and Bargwanna, but it remains the same. And Bright hasn't been able to make too much of an impression on Bargwanna.
All running around in the 56-second bracket. Lowndes has just pulled another quick one out of the hat of 55.9. No one else in that area at the moment, so he's just cruising out in front. There it is, car 15. With a lock brake from Ray Hislop up in front to give you a little bit of racing room as they come back down toward the hairpin once again. Lowndes with the headlights on. The idea being that just attracts a little bit of attention in the rear-view mirror of the slower car and perhaps reduces the chance of a collision. There he is, braking hard for the hairpin, and he's really opened it up here. 7.5 seconds. Now that gap's stabilised, so we're just going to hang in that, defend that cushion.
You know, last week I was at Sandown, I was saying that Craig Lowndes had a disastrous year in Europe. Well, by his own sort of standards that he set, it was a disastrous year because he didn't win any races. But when you look at what he did in the Formula 3000, none of the guys have come into it and won any races, no Frentzen included. So by his own standards, it was a disaster, but it still wasn't that bad.
Here's Glenn Seaton fighting it out with Dick Johnson. Looks like he's got past Stephen Richards. We're on board with Glenn Seaton right now. He's looking for an option past Dick, but he can't quite get there. This is the battle, the 7th and 8th at the moment. Seaton sitting in 8th position. Right in behind them, Stephen Richards, John Bowe rounding out the top 10. Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Falcon back in 11th.
Boy, JB's had a tough weekend, hasn't he? He wanted to turn it on for the home crowd. He couldn't get enough speed out of the car in qualifying. He just couldn't get a balance between front and rear. Ended up 5th fastest. Then he had that turned around in the middle of the pack coming down here in Heat 1. He was very, very lucky not to have the car written off. He's fought his way back now. He's just hanging on the tail of the top 10. This is a day John Bowe would rather forget.
Well, I tell you what, we haven't seen too much enforcing from Russell Ingall, have we? He's driven a couple of very good races. 3 very good races.
I just think that name Enforcer is, I don't know where it came from, mate.
It was you, Barry, wasn't it?
No, it was not.
We've got a big battle here, though.
Gotcha.
Seaton just around the outside of Johnson. Got him this time. Cover his territory under brakes, coming down into Pepsi turn. So he moves up another position. Seaton moves up to 7th. Johnson back to 8th. Stephen Richards in the 2nd of the Valvoline Cummins cars back in 9th. Mark Larkham rounds out the top 10.
Lap 18 of 22. We're winding it down. We won't get too carried away, but this is just how statistics are. The same driver has won the first 2 rounds of this championship in the history of the championship 12 times, and of those 12 times, 11 have gone on to win the championship. So therefore what I'm talking about is if Lowndes wraps this up, he could be looking good for the year. They're squeezing through that Melrose, and he moves out of the way quite nicely. The first race result up on screen now, the second race result. Things are looking good for Craig Lowndes as we see Mark Scaife pull out of the draft here. He's making a move on Russell Ingall. He's right upside, can't quite get there. We saw these guys in that same part of the track in race 2, side by side. Scaife won that battle.
Right under the wing of the Castrol Commodore. We take another view. We've got it all covered here on Network 10. Cameras pointing every which way. Look at every possible battle here. 3 laps to go. Mark Scaife running out of options if he's going to get out.
Oh, a bit of a touch.
Plenty of heat from Jason Barguana. The rookie's getting cheeky. He wants to get his way past. Mark Scaife very, very busy at the wheel of car 50.
Barguana starting to serve it up to Mark Scaife. We're in the closing few laps of this third and final race. This is the second round of the 98 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. You are looking at second, third, fourth and fifth. This couldn't get any closer.
Keep in mind, these two drivers were teammates at the Primus 1000 last year. Jason Barguana on the Young Lions car set the track alight on Friday by taking provisional pole position. Then Mark Scaife knocked him off when it counted. So Jason Barguana really on the tack behind his old teammate Russell Ingall, holding in second position, but they're 9.3 seconds behind Craig Lowndes. He has absolutely blitzed the field.
We're looking at a Mobil HRT 1-2 for the third year in a row. Can you believe it? There's Mark Scaife still holding on to second, lap 20 of 22. That's where Barguana came into contact with Scaife 1 lap ago. Not as close this time around. Here is Scaife behind the wheel.
Just heard from the officials there's been a stop-go penalty to Mark Larkham, overtaking on the yellow, and Scaife gets a really good run out of here. Now this will be interesting. This is a replay of Heat 2. They'll go side by side. Ingall goes with him. Doesn't look across this time. He wants to hang in there and hold him every way. Now a little bit more top end from the Castrol Commodore. They're 240 kilometres an hour. Can you get a cigarette paper between those two cars? Side by side under brakes.
He's got him.
Wow.
What a...
Move up, Mark. Move up. Let me in. And he gets a 2.
How about that? The youngster just forced his way through.
Well, you talk about aggression. That was unbelievable stuff. 2 laps remaining.
Oh, that was good stuff.
Scaife picks the hole, makes the hole, and Jason Barguana goes through with him. Boy,
Now,
oh boy.
let's see here if Barguana is going to do what Scaife did to Ingall. We go on board with Glenn Seaton here at the moment. This is heading up towards the hairpin. Glenn's looking at the back there of Larry Perkins, who's running around in 6th position at the moment in his Castrol Commodore. So keep in mind that Glenn Seaton has come from 25th to 7th position. He's done very, very well. And in terms of positions, it's the same as, almost the same as John Bowe, because Bowe came from 27th to 7th.
Here he comes up the inside of Perkins. A repeat. They'll go side by side through the sweeper. Seaton on the outside. Perkins on the inside, but Seaton's got a little bit more pace. Goes a little bit deeper under brakes.
Good work.
And disposes of Larry Perkins. So we've got cars coming up every which way. Ingall now coming back on the attacks.
That's
Ingall has lost it there, and we are on our way home. So quite sure what happened to Russell Ingall. There's a nice black mark in the side.
Just spun.
So he has lost quite a few positions and will be very disappointed. He's back in 7th now from when he was running 2nd. So we go right up front to the Mobil HRT Commodore, and things have gone very well for these guys today. Craig Lowndes is bringing it home. Not quite as good as in 96 because he cleaned up 3 from 3 in that time, that particular round. He's got 2 from 3 if things remain as is for one more corner. He comes around. His teammate isn't too far behind. The checkered flag is out. Craig Lowndes takes out round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. It is going to be a Mobil Holden Racing Team 1-2. The rest of the field coming round. Bright, Seaton. Here's Mark Scaife coming across the line ahead of Jason Barguana. And that was a tremendous race.
Oh, tremendous stuff was happening all up and down the field. There's Ingall just bagging him up coming onto the straight. He would be annoyed about that. We didn't see the incident, but he was right in the thick of that battle. And we've got a replay coming up in just a moment of the incident that took Ingall out of that battle. Big applause from the crowd. Let's have a look on the Shell Helix replay. Contact between Ingall and Jason Bright's Pertec Ford, maybe. A lot of smoke around there.
Yeah, there's a big black mark on the side.
Yeah.
So things getting very, very hot in amongst that battle, and so they should be.
And there's the young guy who has done it 2 weekends in a row. Craig Lowndes with an unbelievable effort. Mark Scaife, his teammate, in there. For the 3rd year in a row, they will get a 1-2 for the Mobil Holden Racing Team. Jason Barguana, wow, what a drive by that guy. Jason Bright, a fellow young gun in 4th, and Glenn Seaton worked his way up 20 positions from 25th to 5th. We have a look back, 6 through 10, Larry Perkins and Russell Ingall, the two Castrol cars, ahead of Stephen Richards in 8th, Dick Johnson in 9th, John Faulkner worked his way up into 10th position. Fantastic action here at Symmons Plains. We'll be back after this break to wrap things up.